Well, Nigeria's symbol of democracy, the National Assembly building, is in urgent need of repairs. And this is because the foyer of the Senate lobby leaked during heavy rainfall. In spite of this, the building may not be fixed anytime soon as a result of buck passing between lawmakers, Abuja city officials, and President Muhammadu Buhari's cabinet. Arise political editor SUMNER reports.
Workers scoop rainwater dropping from the roof into the lobby of the Senate wing of the National Assembly complex after a heavy downpour, preventing movement close to the chamber. Many Nigerians have expressed outrage over the development as they hit lawmakers for failing to renovate the facility despite their huge annual budgets. The National Assembly building is the country's leading monument that projects the country's return to democracy, but this edifice is now at the mercy of what some call shadowy politics of renovation. The lawmakers had in 2019 requested for a renovation of the National Assembly complex at a huge sum of 37 billion naira, which they said was costed for its repairs by the Federal Capital Development Authority, or FCDA, that is the custodian of national assets in Abuja. But Nigerians kicked against the costs, saying it was prohibitive. The public uproar made President Muhammadu Buhari's government to hold back its renovation. But lawmakers could not sail through, despite insisting that the building was due for renovation after more than 20 years since it was built. But with Wednesday's heavy downpour due to the leaking roof, there is now a blame game. Lawmakers are asking Nigerians not to blame them for the disrepair of the Parliament building, despite having a 9 billion naira budget for general repairs. They put the blame at the doorstep of President Muhammadu Buhari's cabinet.
When the sum of 37 billion was made as provision in the initial 2020 budget, the media went to town castigating and calling the National Assembly members all kinds of names. Now, at the end of the day, like we all knew, of course, the pandemic came, and at the end of the day, that amount was reduced to about 9 billion so that they can take the rehabilitation in phases. As we speak, nothing has been done until yesterday, like we all saw, the leakage across the complex. This is a vindication of what the leadership and indeed the Senate and members of the House of Representatives saw with respect to this edifice, which is a national monument. This is the house of Nigerians.
Anyone who sees what we have here knows that this place is overdue for rehabilitation. It's even worse downstairs. So we went to see Mr. President to complain to him that there's need to rehabilitate and renovate the National Assembly complex after being used for about 20 years and not rehabilitated at all. This house is the house of Nigerians, not the house of members of the National Assembly. This place belongs to Nigerians and it deserves to be renovated.
FCDA says the reason for the dilapidating roofs of the complex, especially the area known as White House, during the downpour is because no contract has been awarded to any company for its maintenance. The agency claims that the cumbersome nature of approving contracts by the Federal Executive Council has hindered the NAS building renovation, as the FCDA cannot do so without budgetary provision or contract approval by the cabinet. Until these bureaucracies are cleared, it looks like federal lawmakers will have to learn how to swim through the waters that may continue to flow in different areas of the National Assembly building during heavy downpour. A spokesman of the Federal Capital Development Authority, which maintains this huge National Assembly complex, says the major problem actually lies with the Federal Executive Council, which is yet to give a contract approval for the renovation of the facility after federal lawmakers had initially asked for 37 billion naira for its total renovation. So the agency is still awaiting the award of the contract to fix the National Assembly complex. SUMNER, Arise News.
All right, thank you so much there, SUMNER, our political editor. He joins us now. SUMNER, glad to have you join us. And I'm going to start right from there. And I'm wondering, isn't the FCT those responsible for renovating, rehabilitating that place? 20 years, that's quite a long time. Am I correct? Are they not? What do you make of their reason?
The FCD.
You have to get a contract. You have to for them to do anything there.
Yeah, what's been happening actually is that it's been piecemeal repairs that have been happening within these past 20 years. Actually, that building started before 1999, but it was handed over in stages from 1999 when we returned to democracy. And then, since then, FCDA, which is in charge of all national monuments in terms of national buildings, public buildings, has actually said that, look, if you want to do this wholesale renovation, it will cost a lot. And they provided this 37 billion, which has now been broken down, and then 9 billion released in the first phase. Because of COVID, the federal government said they couldn't accommodate the entire 37 billion. So what the Federal Executive Council did was that it should be broken into pieces, and in the first year, which is 2020, 9 billion was approved to it. It will be interesting for you to know that that 9 billion, the 9 billion has not been released in cash. It was only released in paper. So the contract for the 9 billion is yet to be released right now, and we're in 2021. The FCT budget, the budget for the Federal Capital Territory Administration, is yet to be presented for 2021, and so 2021 is ending, and 2020 budget is yet to be provided for the renovation, and it's a big challenge.
Yes, it speaks directly to the challenge of bureaucracy within the system. Whether it's the National Assembly you're talking about, whether it's even the release of the budget, the national budget that you're talking about, it just, roadblocks everywhere. And you wonder why, the result of governance.
Yeah, and the surprising thing is that the National Assembly under the Ahmad Lawan chairmanship of the parliament has been very good to the presidency. The executive has never been in bed like what it's happening right now since the return to democracy in 1999. So why is the executive taking a long period of time? Yeah, the Senate president was busy also blaming us journalists as not being patriotic, that we blew the story out of proportion. But we actually have to tell Nigerians how it's happening. I mean, this was pouring, like you were saying. It wasn't just leaking. It was pouring. Yeah. This foyer of the National Assembly complex, particularly the Senate arm of it, was open. I mean, we could see these leaks. Yes, the lawmakers were trying to do a PR by saying that, look, it didn't happen in the chamber. We all know it didn't happen in the chamber. But lots of lawmakers were stopped from moving around.
Because of the lack of time, this is a very interesting story. I mean, it's been running wild.
Yes.
I mean, fine. But let's talk about this other interesting story of Soludo not being disqualified, of them having to be able to present their candidate. Break it down for us, because there's been many reports.
Yes, I mean, Arise News had to actually reach out to INEC to get the real position, because we've had these groups coming out flaunting papers from letters from INEC, and we haven't heard from INEC. We wanted to find out if INEC was present at the party primaries held in Oka yesterday, which is what we confirmed. And then the next thing we also got confirmation for was that Victor Oye is the INEC recognized national chairman of the party. So Jude Okeke-led faction that had been calling themselves can no longer be referred to as a faction right now, because the Electoral Commission have said that, look, they do not recognize any faction. So what they have is an internal wrangling in ABGA. So that's why I had said previously, a few days ago, that the national leaders of ABGA, the founding fathers of ABGA, who helped Chief Chukwuemeka Ojukwu to actually found this party, should sit down and see how they can actually resolve some of the internal issues going on. Because if they are not careful and they do not resolve this, they may actually play into the hands of PDP and APC and end up losing this party. Because Anambra has in the past years been in the hands of ABGA, and APC and PDP really want to have this state. So they have to settle things
Politics, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much.
Politics indeed, or politics like